Okay guys, here we are. We're starting our first blocks, or our first blocks, because we are making more than one. And these pieces of fabric are the step 1 fabric. You're going to have all 4 of the pieces of fabric for letter H, and then you're going to have the 16 little squares from M, and these measure 2.5 inches. Okay, so this is going to be our first step. As you can see in figure 1, if you're following along, we are going to take all of the M fabric, and on the back we are going to draw a line down the center, and then we are going to take each one, or we're going to put these right sides together on all 4 corners, so that the lines go this way, right, to like make it into a pumpkin. That's what we're going to eventually do. So I am going to draw my lines first. Okay, so we're going to take this over to the sewing machine, and just be sure all of your pieces are right sides together. We're going to sew along these lines on all 4, because we have enough to go on all of these. We're going to end up with 4 little pumpkins. So I'm going to take you over to the sewing machine, and we'll take care of that right now. Okay, so here I am sitting with the pieces, and I'm going to try to chain piece them to make it a little bit faster. So here we go. Okay, so we have finished sewing all of these squares onto these rectangles, and I'm going to take you over to the cutting board, and we're going to trim these up and then press them. Okay, so here we are with our pieces, and what I'm going to do is I am going to put this 1/4 inch line over the line that we have sewn onto the squares of fabric together. So right along that line, I'm going to put the 1/4 inch line. That way we're leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to do that all around each piece. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to the ironing board, and I'm going to press the seams open. I do that because they don't, well, it says to press seam toward the orange print. Now, I think that they're saying that because it's the dark side. So we always press to the dark side. Personally, I don't see how that's going to help me to, I don't think it's going to hinder me anyway to join any of the other pieces. So I'm going to press open just to reduce bulk. That's what I do. So let me go do that, and I'll be right back, and we'll start on step 2. Okay, so I have these pieces pressed, and we are going to set them aside just for a moment while we now work on the stems. So we are going to use the D small fabrics, which are measured 1.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and also the 4 M pieces of the same size. Okay, and those pieces are going to make up this middle part, the middle part of the stem there, or the stem. Okay, so here's how we're going to do that. We are going to, oh wait, hold up, there's a measurement, let me read it. I'm going to read it out loud just to make sure that we are all hearing it. These are the pieces. Place all M and D wrong sides up. Okay. I've got them wrong sides up. Okay. Measure upwards 3/4 of an inch from the lower left corner of each, which is this side. So we're going to measure 3/4 up, and we want to mark it. Okay, so on each one, I'm going to get another friction pen because this one is actually running out. And plus for this one, I think I want a darker one anyway. Okay, so I have a black one, and I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch from the lower left corner. Oops. So that is 3/4. And so I'm coming 3/4 inch down, putting that down, and then I'm marking right above it. So can you see where I have that line? Okay, so I have those marked. Okay, so the next thing says, draw a line from this point to the lower right corner. Okay, so that means I'm going to go from this corner here where I've drawn a line at 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to draw diagonally across to the lower right side. Okay. Okay, actually, hold on. So here's what we're doing. It's saying to that you're going to draw the line from here to the corner, and it actually doesn't say to draw the line again. You really don't need to, because we are from this corner that we've drawn on the left. We are going to go down to the corner on the right, and we're just cutting that off. So I'm just going to put the ruler down, and then I'm just going to cut it, instead of sitting here and drawing lines and stuff like that, because we actually don't have to do that according to the instructions. Okay? Okay. Then it says, with right sides together, match edges along cut lines and stitch. Okay, and here is what they were saying. We're going to do them right sides together. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to put them right sides together. Now, you don't want to line them up like that, okay? Because if you do that, then when you go to open it out, it's going to be crooked, like it's not going to line up. So what you need to do is you're going to overlap each side. You're going to have like a little toe sticking out on both sides by about 1/4 of an inch. Okay. So I'm going to get a little flat pin just so it doesn't move. And what we're going to do is, you can see there's that little piece of purple sticking out, and on the other side there's the same size of a little piece of white, and you want that to overhang. Okay? Just like that, both sides. And then we're going to go to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch down with a 1/4 inch seam line. Okay? So I'm going to take the pin out so that I can mark that. And I need to flip it the other way. Okay. Okay. Now I have it's time for dinner. I have drawn the line 1/4 inch, but as you can see, if you look really closely, you can see that my line is actually just below where those two fabrics meet. So that is exactly where I want to actually sew. So when I go over to the sewing machine, I'm going to, if I'm looking at it this way, because that's how I sew, I'm going to stitch just to the inside, or to the right side of the line that I've drawn. That way it's going to make up for the thickness of the pin, basically. And you're going to have that go straight down from where they meet to where they meet. Okay, so I'm going to mark and pin all of these and then go over to the machine. Okay, so here we are at the machine. I'm going to just stitch those lines, and like I said, I'm just going to make sure I'm actually stitching from where the fabric meets to the other side where the fabric meets. Okay, so we have these all sewn up. I'm going to take them over to the ironing board and press them. The instructions say to press them to the purple, but for me, I'm going to press them open. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Either way is fine. And I will be back with you at the cutting board to show you how we're going to trim these up. Okay, so here are, should go this way I guess, my stems. And they want us to trim them to 1 1/4 inch by 3 inch. And it looks like they, well, I'm just guessing, but it looks like they want the purple pieces. They don't want you to trim off any of the purple pieces. The stem will be longer. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, so I'm going to go, and actually I am going to make it so that I can trim a little bit off the bottom just to like even it up. So I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch to trim off the bottom. That's my choice. If you want your stem to be shorter, do whatever you'd like. It's really, doesn't seem like there's any rules. You know, you can make your, you can make it however you want it to look. And I oops, I moved it. I kind of like the look of making the purple part longer. That's what I think I like, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so that's 3 inches, and then they want us to be 1 1/4 wide. Okay, so, oh good, we've got plenty to work with, which I like. Let's see, that's gonna be 1. Okay, so this is perfect. I love whenever there's so much extra that there are like options. You know, so I can definitely trim both sides and it's gonna be fine. This one needs to go over a little bit. And that looks good. And you do not have to be as meticulous as I am. I am just some sort of crazy person. Y'all know that. Okay, so now 3 inches again. Okay, so we have our stems, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take these M fabrics, and these are the ones that measure 3 inch by 4 1/4, and we're going to line them up. Let's take just one of these. We're going to put one on either side of our stem. And that's going to make the top of our pumpkin, or like our pumpkin block. So I'm going to go and I'm going to mark a 1/4 inch line on either side, and then I'm going to take them over to the sewing machine. I'll take you with me and we'll get those going. Okay, so I'm ready to attach, and I'm going to do this chain piece style. Okay, so I'm going to go over, I'm going to press my seams open. I will come back and stitch the other side on. Okay, so here I am back with the pieces that I've just pressed. And now we are going to attach the other side. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to take these, I'm going to go over and press the seams open, and I'll meet you back at the cutting board for the last step. Okay, so I have these all pressed open, and what we need to do before we actually finish or get to the third step is we need to trim these down to 3 inches by 8.5 inches. Okay. So that's not long enough, so now I'm going to have to switch. Okay, 3 inches. And I think we're already there. Yep. So we're already at 3 because we had already measured this one, and these were already 3. Now we do have a little bit of scraggly, I don't know about you, but I have a little bit of scraggly threads. I'm just going to trim them up real quick, just because I see them. Just to kind of clean it up. Okay, and then we just want to measure 8.5, is it 8.5? Yes, 8.5 inches across. Okay, so 8.5, we want to make sure that we have the same amount on either side. So this middle piece, yep, that's not going to work. Let's see. If I put that there, I'm just trying to get an idea of how much should go on either side of the purple. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm terrible at math. Okay. If I go there, if I go all the way to the end on the right, it looks like we are almost 3/8 of an inch over, which is awful. Because that may, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so so that means that I want to trim off a tad more than 1/8 of an inch. This is the craziest thing I've ever done. Okay, no problem. I'm going to come to this side first, and I'm going to trim the 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to trim the other side, and we're going to see where we are. I'm trying to get it even. So I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch at a time. Okay, so 1/8 of an inch. Listen, if you have some other awesome way, please tell me and I'll do it next time. Because this seems a little crazy to me, but I'm trying to do the best I can here. Okay. So if I have 1/8 of an inch cut off on both sides, that leaves me at, oops, I mean, I am a schmithereen over 8.5. So all I'm going to do, honestly, guys, is I'm just going to get to the 8.5 on the left. And that tiny little schmithereen, I'm just going to take off the other side. Actually, like nothing came off. All right, perfect. I'm going to leave it like that. So now we have our stems ready. And we're going to attach them to our pumpkins. Now you want to make sure that when you're attaching the stem that your pumpkins are facing, you know, right side up. So you don't want any of them to be upside down. And you're going to be putting the stem right on top. And you're going to flip it over, right sides together, and stitch a 1/4 inch 1/4 inch seam allowance right there. So I'm going to mark these and then we're going to attach them. Okay, I am ready to attach. And actually you should be looking at these this way, and you're just going to flip this straight over and take the first one of each. And we're going to line it up. Okay, and then I'm going to stitch just to the right side of the line that I drew. I'm giving this a scant 1/4 inch, just so that I know that everything is going good. The things that I think about, and actually what I'm doing is probably more along the lines of just being a 1/4 inch. But think about it. When you put your ruler down to draw your line, your pen has a thickness. And when you go to start sewing, your needle has a thickness. So if you stay on the line and you're adding width, which makes your seam actually larger than a 1/4. So I always, especially whenever I'm piecing for blocks, I will draw my line, like I'll put my 1/4 inch line just below the fabric, just below the bottom of the fabric, because not only am I going to have, like I said, the thickness of the pen that I'm drawing the line with, but I'm also going to have the thickness of the needle. So to counteract the thickness of the line, I bring my 1/4 inch line just below the fabric. And so same thing here. To counteract the size of the needle, I'm going to stitch my line just to the inside, or in this case to the right of my drawn line. Okay, so that's how I do it to attempt to get the best 1/4 inch seam allowance that I can. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take these over. I'm going to press my seams open, and I'll take you back to the cutting board for the final reveal of the first week's blocks. Okay guys, so here it is. This is the finished block for, well, I have 4 of them, obviously, for week 1. and I'm so excited. It's really cute. We were supposed to trim them to 8.5 inch by 8.5 inch, and mine are like right at 8.5 inches, maybe like a hair shorter than 8.5 inches. So I'm good. So there are some edges that don't look so pretty, but I'm going to worry about that when we're putting everything together, because you just never know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to leave them like they are. I'm very happy with how they look. And I just wanted to address that if you look on the back of mine, you can see that I press all of my seams open, and I do that so that they will lay flatter. That's just a preference of mine. Also, after I press them, I respray them with my best press, and then I press the seam again. And I do that so that they really, really lie flat. It makes it easier whenever I'm joining blocks together, because they don't tend to get caught up in the feed dogs because it's very flat. So the underneath doesn't get caught, and then I can go slow over the top and make sure that nothing gets, flipped over or scrunched or any of that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to point that out as just something that I do. And I hope you enjoyed this first week. I will see you guys next week with the next blocks, and I'm very excited to be doing this with you. Please leave comments down below if you have any questions, or if you have any tips or pointers or anything that you want to share with us. I would really, really love that. So I will see you guys next week. Happy sewing!